Tomorrow's just another day. Tomorrow's just another day with Elvis Costello singing, and we have Mike Barson with us in the studio. Thanks a lot for coming down, Mike.
It's okay, Dave. Anytime, mate.
Great. So how did that come about? How did Elvis get to sing that song? I haven't really heard it before.
Yes, how it came about, I don't know if I could really help you with that. It was quite a long time ago. My memory doesn't go back more than a couple of weeks, unfortunately. So it was, I suppose, Clive. I mean, I was well into it. I don't know who first thought up the idea, but I think he'd been doing that the song that Clive wrote, you know, Shipbuilding. It was all the rage anyway. The double bass sort of thing was sort of, you know, everybody was doing it. Everybody. So we were sort of, you know, inspired by that, I guess. So around that time, we wanted to do another version of it. I don't know why. I've always been a fan of Elvis Costello, especially in the early days. You know, watching the Detectives was a sort of big thing in my musical career. That was a great inspiration. Hearing that track, so we had the idea to do it, and we wanted to do it a bit different. I mean, it's funny because also this song is, for me, is a bit of an example of when people do a cover, and you've got to make it, for my mind, you've got to make it a bit different to make it sort of worthwhile doing. You know, there's no point doing exactly the same arrangement and then somebody else just singing it. I suppose if they're like a really magnificent singer, I don't know, Amy Winehouse, I think, had a very great voice. I remember George Michael doing a Stevie Wonder song, and he did that Elton John song, you know, don't let the sun go down on me. But it just, I mean, it was very difficult. You think, hold on, is that Elton or is that George Michael? And he does, obviously George has had a great voice and everything, but then it was still, I don't know, for me, I thought, you know, what's the point? Slightly, somebody might say, what's the point? You know?
I'm with you there. If it's worth doing a cover, you have to take your own style to it to make it worthwhile. I think that's absolutely correct. I mean, Elvis makes a great job of that, I think.
He did. I was very surprised also, as I was saying beforehand. Before we did it, I was sort of thinking, what's he going to do with it? And slightly sort of cynical. But when I heard the vocal he did, it was sort of, it really brought something into it. I mean, he sings great on that song, I think, and the way he does Tomorrow's Just Another Day, he sort of sings it with a different inflection, which I really like. So he definitely brought his own sort of thing to the party, you know. So we did our bit, he did his bit, and I think it was great. I really like that track. It was a good job, yeah.
Good one. We'll move on now to You Are My Everything.
I'm gonna say it again. I take your hand, do everything I can. I'll care for you, no matter what they say or what they do to me. I'll always be around, I'll never let you down. You don't know how much I need you, but I don't have to hear you say you need me too. No matter what they say or what they do to me, this much you can depend, I'll always be your friend. to make you stay. The words say I don't mind. In truth I'd rather go blind. You are my everything. That's what you are. And I would do anything. I'm gonna say it again. I take your hand, do everything I can. I care for you. No matter what they say or what they do to me. Because you are my everything. That's what you are. And I would do anything. I'm gonna say it again. 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 That's what you are. That's what you are. That's what you are.
We've had a few questions coming in here, some bizarre, some interesting. Nick Rushton was keen to know if Mike ever got his £3 back from Lee, as outlined in the Take It or Leave It movie. What do you think, Mike?
That was going way back there, isn't it? I think that might be a case of fake news, I'm afraid. £3, it was much more than that. But no, I don't know if he's got more generous over time. I certainly haven't. But yeah, £3. Yeah, what would £3 get you now, eh?
And not a huge amount. Maybe a second-hand Fats Domino album. We have a question from Mark Bowen, who's keen to know.
Mark Bolan. Oh, right. Now
Bowen,
we're talking.
yeah.
Yeah.
He wants to know how the set list at the Butlins this year on the Friday was arrived at. Keen to know where those songs came from. Any ideas?
Yeah, it was a sort of joint sort of thing. Well, a bit of an argument this year, but anyway, we don't need to go into those unseemly details, do we? It was, yeah, it was enjoyable. Yeah, Chris got his way anyway to an extent. I got mine. We did a sort of, you know, when you have to come to some sort of agreement where nothing comes out of it in the end. But I think it was a good show, actually. Yeah, we always enjoyed a Friday night because we can do something a bit different, and that audience is like, you know, they can't get out. You know, so they pay for the whole weekend.
Captive.
So we've got a captive audience, so we can play whatever the hell we want. There's a Place in the Sun was a song that I chose that I remember, which sort of is a great song. It's a Stevie Wonder song. It was not originally. I don't know what it was. It seems to go right back. But it's got a lovely melody, that song. I heard it on a Tighten Up album the other day that I was listening to by chance. So that was a song that I chose, yeah. And we did some B-sides. Chris was sort of keen on doing B-sides. I don't know. It's always a bit of a sort of, you know, choice about what you're going to do. And I thought we'd done a lot of B-sides already. Chris seemed, you know, I don't know, he's a rather pedantic fellow, and he went through, well, he didn't actually. I said to him, why don't you send me a list of what we'd done on the Friday night? I mean, that 3-week sort of memory thing is always a bit of a problem with the band as well, because nobody knows what we did last year or the year before that. But, Yeah, so it was a bit sort of new. It was a bit of a mixture, yeah, and it was a bit of a mixture from the band. So I hope it was all right. Yeah.
Well,
We
fans
certainly
fans
enjoyed
really
ourselves.
like that. They really do look into each track, B-side or otherwise, and kind of get their own kind of perspective of it all. So I think it's worthwhile. How have the band
Well, I mean, I
done?
know I would if I really liked a band, I would love to go and see them do all different stuff. You know,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
next year, Butlins, anyone who fancies it, Miney. Lovely weather at that time of year.
How have the band over the years politically worked out these kind of decisions? I mean, from the very early years where I think you made quite a few decisions, having formed the band and kept them in line long enough to actually get them to the recording studio. How have the political? I mean, you're one of the longest lasting bands who still talk to each other, so there must be, if not a formula, at least an agreement of some kind.
Not really. I mean, a formula. Well, we have a sort of it's a sort of democracy at the end of the day. I mean, a lot of the time, people are in the early days. There's that phrase, isn't there? What is it about the Indians? Too many chiefs, not enough cooks, or something.
Or circle the wagons, one of those. Yeah.
No, there are too many chiefs. Yeah. So that sort of developed over time. In the beginning, I think a lot of the band was sort of caught in the headlights, and like didn't quite. No one said didn't know what was going on, but in the beginning, slowly people started getting more and more wanting to get involved in the decision process, which is sort of interesting, I find, because in the I mean, I don't know. I used to make a few. I don't know if I made all the decisions. I suppose I've got a certain sort of quality of wanting to get things done and not dropping things. I don't like if it's like a good idea, I don't like it to be just sort of dropped under the table and then we've got another good idea. We've got to, it's to sort of do the good stuff and make sure that it gets done, sort of thing.
Yeah, they're hard to come by. Good ideas are quite difficult to actually get.
I think so. So it's a shame. I always think it's a shame if they get dropped. So anyway, I've got a bit of a quality of that. But sometimes it can be difficult, yeah. And when it does get difficult, we do use a sort of democratic principle where, the band can vote on it. Used to be 7 people, so you could always get a vote out of 7 people. Now we've got 6 people. But not everybody gets involved. I mean, it's sort of interesting. I mean, everybody's character comes into that sort of thing, Lee doesn't really like everybody arguing, so he sort of always, it's not so much what he wants, but he wants the band to get on, sort of thing. So he sometimes makes a decision that is sort of trying to get get everybody to shut up and sort of get on with it. But it's not too bad. We all get on pretty good these days. Well, with that thing, yeah, I mean, I had a certain idea. I wanted to do a sort of Danger Men sort of thing. Me and Suggs were sort of into doing another sort of Danger Men album, maybe. Chris wanted to do a load of old dodgy B-sides. So, what happened? We got a bit of both in the end. So it's always, I don't know, it's like life in general, It's how much you sort of put into it. And sometimes those sort of battles that go on, you've got to really be on the case. I mean, you were involved in the when we were choosing the track listing for Wee Wee CC, Ya Ya Da Da, and you had everybody was coming with a track listing at that point, and then Gary Blackburn he's our manager. He was sort of, oh my God, everybody's saying something different, and then his idea of a solution was to come with his list, that absolutely nobody was bloody backing. So I didn't like that because I didn't agree with it either. And anyway, I didn't go for my list. I was trying to be sort of impartial. So I was sort of going for your list, which I thought was a good sort of, old-fashioned sort of, put the singles at the beginning. I mean, there was a certain principles that we used to adhere to back in the day with Stiff Records. And it was, like put all the singles. I mean, everybody was sort of doing that. I mean, some people I can remember, like Michael Jackson and people like that, would have an album. There'd be a couple of singles at the front, and the rest would be like pure tosh. It would be like really unlistenable sort of stuff. Whereas we always used to do, I think we used to do good tracks, and all the songs we did, we tried to do well. But anyway, in the end, so in that occasion, yeah, I had a bit of a fight with Gary Blackburn, yeah. because it wasn't using any, wasn't any fair play. I like a bit of fair play, I guess, in making these sort of decisions.
No,
and at the end of the day, if fair play means you don't get your say, then you don't get your say. I mean, that's the sort of worst case scenario. And that sometimes happens. But sometimes the funny thing that I've learned is by trying to be sort of democratic, which sort of ties in a bit to this Jeremy Corbyn thing for me, is some people have got this view when everybody has a say, it's going to be like, Jesus Christ, what are we going to do? It's just like all these voices, which does have some truth to it. But the good side is that you get a lot of positive things from people who maybe you didn't respect or maybe you didn't give them the time of day. And then when you're actually forced to listen to them, you think, well, actually, it's not a bad idea, and that sort of happened quite a lot in the band. And it's sort of nice that everybody gets a say, I think it's so important in a band that everybody feels like they've got some input. I mean, if you get these Adolf Hitler sort of run regimes, and you like, I don't know, I would maybe the Rolling Stones, I don't know, what do I know about how they run things? But some of the bands sort of get a bit cheesed off at a certain time and they say, I've had enough of this. Those two pair of big-headed. I think I read that. I'm not sure. But yeah, so it's better that everybody sort of is happy bunny on board.
It looks good. It looks good also on stage. The band do seem to be having a good time. There was a period where it looked like a bit of an effort, but lately I notice everybody seems to be getting on together, and I think good work comes from this.
I would 100% agree with that. There's a funny, when everybody's sort of feeling comfortable and happy and they're being listened to, you get something more than there's that synergy sort of thing where you get something more than the parts, And it's enjoyable. I mean, there's nothing like seeing a band all getting on. I mean, when I used to go and see bands when I was a kid, I remember the thing that I really used to enjoy is seeing them sort of smiling at each other and having a good time. And for me, that would like elevate the bloody gig. And you see a bunch of moany whatevers, who don't like each other's company, sort of ignoring each other. It's all so sterile. And,
you should put that in your book, Mike.
Door locked open, door locked shut. See you soon, hopefully not. I've been and gone so many times without a word I've dropped, no line. Just look forward, never back. Selfish bastard teeth to crack. Please forgive me for the things that I have done. Don't feel ashamed if you're asked how's your son. Living here and living there, lived at home but very rare. Treasure locked in memory. You drop a line, say hello, Dad. Await your answer, I also beg. Please accept me from a baby I have done. Pain, stress and heartache are now overcome. Visible lines now I can see. Was all this the cause of me? A letter's come, she has replied. Read 2 years ago, your mother died. Please forgive me for the things that I've done. Don't be ashamed if you're wrong.
that was overdone. And Mike and I were talking off mic about the fact that quite a lot of Madness music is used for different kind of commercials or otherwise. There seems to be a lot of it around at the moment, which shows people are still discovering the band and some of the music that the band has made. What do you say, Mike?
Well, I think that's just, as I was saying a minute ago, Dave, that's just the sort of nature of what's going on these days. I mean, when we were first starting out, it was sort of maybe the beginning of that commercialisation of music, using the bands. But in those days, they had a lot more credibility, or I don't know if it's really credibility, but in any case, all the bands, it was a right no-no. Commercialisation. I remember right in the early days there was some idea about there were some people having like Coca-Cola written on the stage in the beginning of that like mass commercialisation, and there was a lot of huffing and puffing. But I suppose a lot of new people. I remember that, what's her name? There was that woman who got famous on the internet, one of the first ones, and she did a Pepsi Cola, and it all went wrong at the end. What was her name?
Yes.
You know that young girl.
Yes, I do remember, but
And
like
then there were
you,
these
my memory is...
Yeah, well, anyway.
less than
Hopefully our
perfect.
listeners are of the same bent, Dave. We all know what I mean. That young lass. But anyway, yeah, that commercialisation has got more and more and more. I mean, for better or for worse, it's like everywhere. I mean, I don't like that. Everything has got, these days, everything is getting priced up, It's like, how long you want to sit in that chair? That will be, that's probably what the future is going to be. I sat 10 minutes on the bar stool. That will be an extra 50p, timed by 20%. I mean, that's Santander, these bank accounts now. I looked into it the other day. They give you money back for spending money, and it's like, and you look into it, and there's not actually any profit. It's just like you got to pay for the account, and then they give it you back, pretending that they're giving you something, and they're giving you your money back. But at the end of the day, it gets horrendously complicated.
Well, you get treated like a complete giraffe a lot of the time. You are being spoken down to dramatically, but the public kind of swallow it. My old man had an expression which I always liked, which was up to a standard or down to a price. And that was one of his favourite things. What are the plans now for the band in the next year? We're going into 2018.
Well, we don't really know at the moment. We're talking about doing some recording. We're going to do another album at some point. Another album, I suppose. As one, I mean, that's sort of what we do, I guess. I wanted to have a little bit of a break. It's like we've done a few albums. I don't know. You can't really tell. I mean, sometimes you think I want to have a break, and then suddenly you think, oh, I wouldn't mind going in the studio. But we will go in the studio in the not too distant future. Yeah. And I don't know what. I mean, I fancied doing some different stuff. We're recording. I mean, I fancied doing a few covers, but Chris apparently says covers are always shit. He doesn't. He said he didn't like covers. Yeah, and then, but he said they never come out. That's right. He said the covers never come out good. And somebody said, "Well, what bit? It must be love." And well, maybe something. Sometimes they come out all right. But I fancied doing some covers. We tried to do a few Danger Men sort of things a while back. So there's different opinions on them. So I don't know if we will do or not, but maybe we'll do a bit of sort of, maybe it'd be nice to record some. Sort of nice doing other people's songs, which we don't often do, because there's no pressure or anything. It's sort of quite relaxing, I find. And sometimes, I mean, when you pick a song that you really like, it's generally a great song. It's already written as a great song. So that's sort of nice to do that, yeah.
Yeah,
And
I think that's good. I think that's good. I think Watch This Space is the answer to that. We have a gentleman called Matt Holt who has wanted to get a bit of a plug from you, Mike, if possible.
Talking of new material, stunning good songs. Yeah, Matt Holt. Yeah, he's a nice fella. Yeah, he's a Morris Minor fanatic. He made a little film with me a while back about Morris Minors, and he's always sending me pictures of Morris Minors and stuff. And we met a couple of times, yeah. and then he's got this new song out, which I watched the other night, and what do you know? Lee Thompson's ugly mug suddenly appears in it at the end, which nearly gave me a heart attack and almost put me off the whole thing. But luckily, it was not a bad little track. Yeah, To the Moon and Back.
Good. Mike, thanks very much for coming. The show could be about 4 hours. We could talk, I think, probably forever.
All right,
And
guys.
still not arrive at the final consensus. Anyway, thanks a lot for coming. Here's a song that Mike wrote originally, My Girl, and we're playing the version My Girl 2.
We see ya ya da da. We see ya ya da da. We see ya ya da da. We see ya.
Lately, I've been wondering about you and the things you do. I'm in love, but you drive me mad. Be so sad to be losing you. Last night, when we had that fight in your car, left me at the bar. Then I see her talking to her friends, acting like she just don't care. She has flair, and how she moves with such grace, like she owns the space. She's so fine, she looks so cool, got no time. Nobody's fool, my girl. She don't read books, my girl. She gives dirty looks. I'm going to be what she want me to be. I'm her man, doing all I can. My girl, she's above the rest. My girl, she's sure the best. She's cool, there's no doubt. She's so fine. She's all mine. I'm so glad she wanna be with me. She got looks and personality. I want her all of the time to be mine, and all of her time to be free. Standing right by me and to see that it has to be. We see ya ya da da. We see ya ya. My girl likes to drive at night. My girl is so out of sight. My girl heads above the rest. My girl, she's sure the best. She's cool, and there's no doubt she's so fine. She's all mine. I'm so glad she wanna be with me. She got the looks and the personality. 'Cause my girl, my girl, my girl, she's my girl.
So, My Girl 2, Mike Barson. We think Britney Spears is the answer to the conundrum. We're now moving to one of our favorite, well, my favorite, Gregory Isaacs, one of my favorite reggae boys.